All right, here we are, day 74. It's pissing down rain on us. So, let me tell you what we did. So, we stayed at that hostel last night. And then we got dropped off. We met Dale, one of our subscribers, one of our old school subscribers from last time. Dale actually slack packed me last time through this area. So the plan was he was going to meet us this morning to slack pack us. So he met us, brought us 2 huge subs, some Gatorade, hooked us up. And so what we're doing is we're hiking southbound. So he took us to Smith Gap. We're hiking southbound back to Palmerton, and we'll stay at the hostel tonight so that we can get dried out, because it's going to be doing this all day long. So we're southbound. There were 2 ladies that stayed at the hostel last night. Older lady, younger girl. They're basically doing the same thing. So they got dropped off at Smith Gap also, probably 15 to 30 minutes ahead of us. So the plan is all 4 of us are slack packing. We should catch up with them sometime this morning, and then we'll kind of hike with them so that we can all arrive back in Palmerton at the same time and get picked up. So that's the plan. When we get to the big, what would have been rock scramble climb at a Lehigh Gap near the end, we're not going to go down those rocks because with this rain and stuff, it's just too slippery. And, all 4 of us, it's not advisable to do that and potentially risk some injury, potentially even serious injury on those wet rocks. Even climbing them in this weather, not advised. There is a bad weather route, a Blue Blaze. It's longer than going straight up the rocks, but it's a bad weather route designed for when there's bad weather. So, considering we're going to get about 1 inch of rain today throughout the day, I would consider this bad weather day. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to play it safe. We were kind of looking forward to getting to climb the rocks, but in this kind of weather, it's just not worth it. It's not worth the risk to do that. We've got to hike another, 900 miles or so, and there's no need risking it and getting hurt and ending our hike just because we wanted to hike some rocks in the rain. So that's what we're doing. So I don't know how much filming we'll get to do right now. I'm filming. My phone's dry because I'm under the umbrella, but as time goes on, I don't want to keep pulling my phone out, getting it wet in case I need it for navigation / emergency stuff. But we'll try to film what we can. The good thing is the trail's pretty much flattish most of the day. There's no real ups we have to do. Obviously, we'll do the down on the Blue Blaze. That's it. So we'll hit spots with rocks, but it's not going to be super bad. So, considering the weather, we're in a kind of a good section of trail to get this kind of weather. So, and then we'll stay at the hostel tonight. Then tomorrow we'll get dropped back off north. And tomorrow is Thursday, so we got to make it to Delaware Water Gap tomorrow. Looks like there'll be rain in the morning, but then it'll taper off. So I think most of this front that came in, it's actually timed tonight where it's going to stop. for hours, and then maybe a little, chance. But today was like 100% chance of rain. Yesterday was 100%. Tomorrow it's more like 50 or less. So tomorrow should be better. At least we'll start off dry tomorrow, and we'll get into Delaware water gap so we can get dry again tomorrow night if we do get wet. And then, so that's kind of the plan right now. So that's what we got. All right. So, Mary Poppins, who is the hostel owner where we're staying, she runs a donation-based hostel. Sweet lady. She is actually a current scoutmaster. So, of course, we got talking about scouts and all that. She runs a troop here, and they're pretty much high event. They hike all the time, so they even help take care of Bake Oven Knob shelter area and part of the trail in that area. So their troop's kind of like ours. They do a ton of hiking. So it was kind of good talking with her and swapping stories and experiences. You don't meet too many scoutmasters, male or female, that do a lot of hiking and high adventure. Most of your troops do a lot of arts and crafts kind of stuff. They don't, or if they get outside, it's the car camp. So it's good to see there's actually other troops that do cool stuff and not just car camp and, cook in Dutch ovens and, sit around, eat a bunch of food, get fat, eating ho-hos and drinking yoo-hoo. There's actually scouts that get out there and hike so that if you eat ho-hos and drink yoo-hoo, it's because you just hiked 10 or 15 miles that day and you've earned it. So that's kind of my rant for the day. BSA, if you're listening, the reason why your membership is going down is because you got away from getting these kids outside and active. It's pretty bad when you look at 90% of the adult leaders and they're fat as shit. It's like, how are you setting an example for the kids? I seem to remember somewhere in the Scout Oath where it talks about keeping yourself physically fit. And then you got scout leaders that are, fat as shit that's why they can't take them hiking. They can only do car camping because the adults can't do it. So, that's why the kids are the way they are now. Because the parents are too freaking lazy to get off their ass and, take them hiking and exert some physical energy. So, and then when you got lazy adults, you create lazy kids. So that's just my rant for the day. That's what happens, right, chill guy? That's what happens when I'm hiking in the rain. My true feelings come out. So to all scout leaders out there, how about setting an example for your kids? Live by the Scout Oath and Law. Don't be out there being lazy. Get out there and challenge these kids to do cool stuff like 50-mile hikes and, big long canoe trips and, stuff like that. All the STEM stuff is nice, but, kids join scouting not to get more classroom schoolwork. They do it to get outside and get to experience stuff like this. It builds character. So that's my Scoutmaster rant for the day. All right, we're gonna put the phone away before it gets too wet. All right, here we are. This is a view of Palmerton. It's raining a little bit. It poured on us a little earlier. Stopped for a couple hours. This chill guy in Fairchild's been hiking with us. So we're heading back. We'll be hitting the Blue Blaze in a couple miles here and then going down. But that's Palmerton down there. So the reason why there's so much rock and not much vegetation is there was a zinc smelting plant years ago and basically polluted the top of the mountain, killed all the vegetation. It was turned into a Superfund site. So you got all this zinc and arsenic in the soil. So not a good place to get water from unless you want to OD on some zinc and arsenic. So, but as you can tell, it's just drizzling rain now. It probably rained for the first hour, then we had about 2 hours of no rain, and then it kind of poured for a while. Now it's lightened up again. So that's that. This chill guy with his rain skirt. He feels bonita in his rain skirt. Me, I just have my base layer on. No soapy foam this time. All right. Get back to the hostel tonight, dry out. You gotta walk through some water, some of it over your ankles, just from all the rain. All right. All right, getting close to connecting back with the AT up here. Get down to the parking lot to get picked up. Up until about 10 minutes ago, it was pouring down rain on us, but it's kind of stopped now. It's a misty rain right now. As you can see, you had to walk through some water, but that's fine. Can't get wetter than wet. So people at home pay top dollar for cold water therapy. Here on the AT, you get cold water therapy for free.
You can get it all day.
You can get it all day long.
Imagine paying a lot of money for this.
Yeah, what kind of fools pay money for this?
Plus,
Wait a second, aren't we paying money to do this?
Oh yeah, we're paying a lot of
Yeah, to live like a homeless guy.
We're kind of contradicting ourselves here.
And walk like 16 miles in the freaking rain all day.
So in a way, we're paying for cold water therapy.
Yeah. Where's Fairchild? There's Fairchild. I'll wait up for Fairchild. I don't want to leave her in the dust. And now it's going to rain hard, so I'll put the phone up. All right, we'll probably see you back at the hostel. Unless it stops raining again, then maybe I'll film again. Otherwise, I'll film a little bit at the hostel when we get dry. All right.